Hello, I'm FPX Toycat, and this week we're expecting two brand new Minecraft updates, a full Minecraft Bedrock update combined with a brand new Snapshot for Minecraft Java, where they could actually respond to the controversies around the new trading system they introduced last week. That is what we were expecting, but what we got instead was a brand new bug fix update for Minecraft Bedrock, as well as a brand new Snapshot, which mostly made changes to the skulk sensor and other technical things and bugs without ever addressing the trading. What exactly were we expecting from both these updates, and what did we get instead? Allow me to explain with today's video, because 1.20.14 is incredibly easy to explain. It is one of the shortest changelogs you'll ever see, and it's actually not an entire Minecraft Bedrock update. It is exclusive to the PlayStation 4 to fix crashes on that version in particular. Instead, 1.20.20 looks to be either next Tuesday or the one after, so we'll have to wait a little longer for that. And indeed, the snapshot we got this week was not something where we were expecting, but it does make quite a few interesting changes on the technical side of Minecraft. So most of these are to the skulk sensors. I'll list the actual change to the vibration frequency on screen, but they made it so there is now a vibration frequency when you have a book which goes through a hopper into a bookshelf like this. This is incredibly interesting to me because it means that when you have an automated redstone system, you'll be able to have that link over to your skulk sensor, as you can see right there. Very, very bizarre. Another interesting one is when you put out a fire, be it a real fire or campfire, what will actually happen is you'll get a skulk sensor for that, so that was a bad example. You'll actually get a skulk change for that, as you can see right here. However, throwing a splash potion and having it explode already was enough to detonate a skulk sensor, so only if you had silent bottles would that be a big deal. Speaking of only having silent bottles, another interesting one is obviously the turtle eggs right here. When you have a turtle egg that breaks or hatches, it will also activate a skulk sensor. So for breaking these, it's also kind of irrelevant. However, if it hatches naturally, that might actually be kind of handy. And oh, I've accidentally set up a redstone contraption where every time a turtle egg hatches, I open the door to let them out. That's a fun and silly idea. Speaking of fun and silly ideas, also when you feed certain animals, for example, when you have two, so here are some carrots, they'll bounce around a lot by themselves, but if I were to feed them carrots, that feeding act will now itself be a skulk vibration, as you can see right there, which is pretty fun. There's a couple of other mobs they made that change for, and then mostly for survival, the only ones that you'll really need to care about is the fact that when there is a Vindicator making vexes, that will also have a vibration frequency, and also, look at this, there is no noise around. I'm going to take off my helmet, that unequipped sound, okay, I'm going to get a little closer. When you take off your helmet, that will activate the skulk sensor, which is very bizarre to me. Like, putting on and off equipment is something you now have to watch out for, so be careful when you're watching it, when you're running around the deep dark. Speaking of running around in the deep dark and getting the Sneak 100 achievement, it should be mentioned that this update has also made changes to a bunch of technical things, i.e. Like IDs inside the game, the way the beacon displays its details and stuff like that, all the sorts of things you'll care about if you're a Chromebook player. I'll be honest with you, 99% of players won't care or notice these, especially if you don't play Java, but something you'll hopefully notice is that Java is getting better multiplayer. The way they're doing this is improving the size of their TCP packets, and although that sounds like networking mumbo jumbo, to simplify that as simple as possible, Minecraft uses TCP, which is a type of data transfer, which guarantees everything gets there. This is because if you were to play multiplayer and you got one packet but missed one in the middle, I would move straight from being here to being over here, let's say, without being in the middle. And then if that packet arrived later, I would appear back in midair, which wouldn't make any sense to either player. So Minecraft needs to guarantee everything gets there on time, and so by making the packets bigger, you know, there's a lot of extra data in there that isn't just movement data and stuff like that. By making these packets bigger, Minecraft should allow you to use the same amount of data to send more information about your movement and what you're up to, and less about just coordinating between the two servers, which hopefully should make things better. If it's so much better though, you wonder why they haven't done it already, but it's the sort of improvement that's good to see. Speaking of good improvements that's good to see, I should mention that while I was recording this video, Minecraft actually released another update. You probably saw it in the intro somewhere, but they released another beta for Minecraft Bedrock. It's rare to see a beta on Wednesdays, but this means we've had 3 updates in one day, and this Bedrock beta is quite interesting for the number of parity changes it makes, but also for introducing the ability for pillagers to spawn in a cherry grove, and indeed for their pillager outposts to spawn there too. This is absolutely fascinating. This new beta and preview is called 1.20.30, that is to say the next update after 1.20.20, and it's very, very intriguing because if you look through it, you can see that they have made the village raid a little bit harder. Witches will now throw healing and regeneration potions at raiders during those, which is very, very intriguing. They've done quite a few other things in here too. They've changed skulk vibrations hugely. This seems to be a big priority for Mojang, but there's 2 things in this update that tell us that they're not necessarily ready to roll back the changes from last week. Yeah, one is that in this beta, they have brought in the discount for curing a zombie villager villager no longer increasing when the same villager is reinfected and cured multiple times, and the other is that Minecraft brought in quite a few bug fixes in 23W32A, including fixing some things from last week, W31A. Anything past this line on the changelog is a fix specifically for last week's snapshot, meaning that most of the fixes they brought out this week were fixes to that, meaning they really are committed to 1.20.2 and aren't necessarily focused on rolling it back yet. Which brings us into the question, what were we expecting from the update? I mean, obviously with 1.2020, it's really easy. It's a quality of life bug fix update, bringing in things like the wandering trader, being able to trade for samplings. It's real easy. It's like an update that everyone expects and that we might see next Tuesday now. I know I'm going to be excited for snapshot related reasons. However, something that is very curious to me is how exactly they are going to do the update regarding trading, because we expected as a community that Mojang would have some response to this by now. I mean, for better or worse, the Minecraft community does have some very strong thoughts about this particular snapshot to do with trading, and so that is something we assumed Mojang would respond to. This week, I was sure they would at least address it in some way, but it looks like they are still deciding, which means the changes that we're expecting might be some way away, or might just be a single week away, but I do expect that they're going to have a big reflection, because they probably weren't imagining there'd be such a lash back to this, such a strong reaction in the negative direction, and I think the reason for that is because it seems very logical. Almost everyone agrees on a game balance level that Minecraft needs to fix the enchantment system. The best way to get the most powerful enchantments, ones that you can't even enchant for manually, is just re-rolling a villager over and over again. However, I think people disagree about the best way to change it to get there. I think that the general rule for Minecraft should always be, the general rule for any game that is single player should never be that you balance things by making them worse. You always balance things by making them better, ideally. If you don't like the way people do something at present, you can let them do whatever they're doing till the end of time, but you bring in better methods. And although power creep is a real concern that happens over time, I think this is a natural conclusion of people getting better and better ways to do things, to the level where, you know, like the things that were possible years ago look ridiculous right now, even though they were the best at the time. And so everyone having mending isn't necessarily a huge concern, one that you have to force them to do a lot of new things for. And I think that is the easiest compromise Mojang can seek, is how do we, instead of fixing, we can still bring in this biome-specific trade idea. Maybe it's much more likely in certain biomes than others, but I think that at the same time, it should be really, really prioritized. It should maybe be a focus of theirs to work out how they can make it so other ways of getting enchantments are actually worthwhile, rather than people trying and maybe not necessarily doing so well with regards to maybe people are not having many options. Maybe the ideal would be that people have lots of different options for enchantments, and so they should buff the enchantment table, they should buff fishing, or maybe bring in a new way to enchant altogether. I think rather than drastically nerfing villagers, they should be seen as roughly the same. People who like the current setup should go, well, I don't love the new system, but it has these big benefits for me, and right now, everyone sees it as being worse, and just whether people do it or not is the thing that determines whether they like that or not. Something which I don't think is necessarily great. That is the expectation. I was sure that we would see some response from Mojang, but it might have to wait a little longer. Indeed, 1.20.20 with its exciting new Wandering Trader trade, just for me, and indeed a few other things you might care about, like the new game rule and stuff, that is something we're going to have to wait for, and this is one of the things about Minecraft. Right now is kind of the off-season for major updates. We are, we're all talking about 1.20.2, which is a good thing, but I don't think Mojang was expecting something so controversial until they worked on the next update, the end and the bend update, I think when the mushroom and blue shroom update. Whenever they were doing these things, this is when the farms and the crams, palms, farms and palms. There's new food you can make, including parmesan. But I think that they these are the updates that they're expecting to have controversy. So in the off season, they're not necessarily ready to quickly react to it. And I think that the reaction they will have is something that's going to be very interesting to watch. But we haven't seen it just yet. I do think, though, I am going to double clarify that Mojang should do everything they can to make this look like a sidewards grade, making villagers more interesting, not just removing some existing features. And I also think something that's incredibly important is that we make existing enchanting just work better. I don't know, there's a lot of ways that they can fit that bill, but it's something that's incredibly important that they do. But with that said, I want to hear your thoughts, and I also would love to hear what you think about Minecraft's kind of non-reaction and waiting. Do you think waiting this out is a good idea, or when there's a big controversy, it should be responded to immediately? Because I do think that people have these strong reactions immediately, which might mellow out if they give a week in between to focus on all the other stuff, which does need to get done anyway. So that's my kind of take. I also think the cherry, I think the beta was pretty cool as well, but also very interesting that they specifically aren't saying anything. I think non-communication isn't the best, but if it works, it works. With that said, hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm not going to tell you to like it because non-communication is a good idea, and what I will tell you to do though is that I won't be streaming the Caveman Challenge tomorrow, but instead Friday this week, I'm gonna go looking for netherite in a world where I was barely able to mine any blocks recently, and it's gonna be exciting. So see you there on Friday. Looking forward to it, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.